Good evening, everyone. Welcome to your ultimate football update. The excitement in the world of football never ends. This is Global Sports Analysis, and tonight we are diving into everything from historic, record-breaking moments, the high-stakes title chases, and the hottest controversies stirring up conversations. I am Adeyinka Black here to bring you all the action, all the insights, and let's jump straight into today's biggest stories. Mauricio Pochettino sees himself back at Tottenham. Tottenham's Son Heung-min reacts to his old social post. No one is talking about Nottingham Forest, from relegation struggles to Champions League dreams. Crystal Palace's Mateta endures 25-stage injury, faces recovery as Millwall keeper receives 6-match ban. Finally, it's the international break and Thomas Tuchel is officially taking charge. Sports fans, let's talk about the headlines that has everyone buzzing. So, Sky Sports recently dropped an exclusive interview with Mauricio Pochettino, and he has gone and lit the Tottenham fan base on fire with just one little comment. He could see himself returning to Spurs in the future. Yeah, you heard that right. Now, Pochettino revealed that he is still in touch with Daniel Levy to make things even more juicier. And what does this mean? Well, speculation is already spreading faster than the counter-attack under Pochettino ball. But let's not forget what Pochettino actually means to Spurs, because his tenure was all about high energy attacking football, developing young talents, quick transitions, and pressing teams into oblivion. He gave them something to hope for. He gave them consistent top four finishes and took them to unforgettable Champions League final in 2019. Now, that was an era that had its magic, no doubt. But here's the thing. Times have changed, and of course, under Ange Postecoglou, we are in the era of Ange ball, and this is more possession-based structure system, where the build-up starts from the back and defenders push high up the field, and it's all about dominating the midfield when it comes, and when of course it clicks, it's a thing of beauty, but let's be real. It has also left them vulnerable at times when especially, hard-stopping London derbies. Now, of course, with injuries piling up and the results being a bit hit or miss, the pressure is definitely on Postecoglou to deliver. And that's exactly what fans are now looking at Pochettino's words and wondering, could he bring back the magic? Would his high-octane approach give Spurs the spark they need? Or is this just nostalgia talking? Now, of course, it's a tale of two managers, two styles, and one big question. Which approach is better suited for Spurs of today? Let's know what you think. Are you team Pochettino or are you sticking to Ange ball? But of course, still in Tottenham. Now, Tottenham's Son Heung-min reacts to his old social post. All right, Spurs fans, let's talk about a little trip down memory lane, courtesy of none other than Son Heung-min. Now, Son recently just shared some nostalgic moments with featuring his former teammate Harry Kane. And honestly, who wouldn't? Because their partnership is straight up iconic. One of the best that the Premier League has ever seen. And let's not forget what the two have actually achieved together. Because Kane's incredible vision and passing combined with Son's blistering pace is deadly. And of course, we all know that is poetry in motion, or that was poetry in motion, because they didn't just play, they broke records. And I don't know if you remember when they combined for a jaw-dropping 37 Premier League goals, overtaking Drogba and Lampard's legendary duo. Now, that is something, because in the 2021 season, they set the record for the most goal contribution in a single season, 14, which is actually outrageous. Of course, sure, Spurs didn't have any trophies during their time, but these two brought the club to new heights, rather. And that happened when they took them to a Champions League final in 2019, and a consistent top four finish and countless unforgettable moments. It was pure magic, because come on, their chemistry, it was undeniable. It wasn't just about the goals. It was about the understanding and mutual respect on and off the field, because come on, you would have, love to have something like that. And Son's little reflection reminds us all of the legacy they all created. Now, it's not just about what they achieved, but the memories that they left behind for Spurs fans everywhere. So what do you think? Can Spurs actually recreate a duo like this? Or is Kane and Son's partnership truly one of a kind? Now, moving forward to what I would consider the highlight of today's episode. Nottingham Forest, because that club is a club living in a full-blown football fairy tale. Because just a few seasons ago, Forest was stuck battling relegation and during a brutal 23-year absence from the Premier League. I don't know if you remember that dramatic 2022 playoff against Huddersfield Town where, it was a bit funny. Now, that was when they clawed their way back up to the top flight. But let's be honest, back then, no one could have ever imagined the incredible journey they would go on to have, especially under, the tactical wizardry of Nuno Espirito Santo. And let's rewind a bit, now, Forest had some struggles over the years. Forest lingered in the championship, dealing with inconsistencies and financial woes. Now, they of course had mid-table finishes and narrow escapes from relegation which became the norm for them. And even when they made it to the Premier League, the first couple of seasons were rocky. Now, in the 2023-2024 season, they barely survived, finishing 17th with a measly 32 points, a record low to just stay in the league. Now, that's not exactly the kind of stuff that dreams are made of, but then came the revolution. Nuno Espirito Santo, which was appointed in 2024, and he changed the entire game. His philosophy? Defensive solidity and quick transition. He stuck to his compact 4-2-3-1 setup, and that became the bread and butter of making Forest one of the hardest teams to break down. Now, opponents were forced to play wide, and good luck to breaking down that defensive wall, because it was just something that was phenomenal. On the attack, Nuno's system thrived, exploiting, areas that we didn't even see, and massive counterattacks from players like Elanga and Hudson-Odoi, and they flourish using their pace and creativity to devastating effect. Now, Forest's ability to adapt and adjust depending on opponents was just incredible, and this was a huge reason for their rise. Now, fast forward to today, they have mind-blowing achievements, because in 2024-2025 season, Nottingham Forest isn't just surviving, they are thriving, because they're sitting in third place, knocking on the door of Champions League for the first time since their glory days in 1979 and 1988. Of course, we know that they won back-to-back European Cups, and let that sink in for a bit, because for almost the whole time, they have been struggling with championship, and now they have the potential of sitting at the European elite table. That is a turnaround. And of course, let's not forget that they have been what we call the giant slayers, because this season alone against Manchester City and Forest stormed the reigning champions with a hard-fought 1-0 victory, thanks to Callum Hudson-Odoi's clutch, 83rd minute goal. And it just proved tactical discipline at its finest. Let's also not forget Brighton Hove Albion, which Forest did not just win, they destroyed Brighton to a 7-0 victory. Of course, we know that Chris Wood bagged a hat-trick, and Jota Silva and Neco Williams joining the party, and the scoreline, which was just wild. Of course, we have to mention Arsenal, who also faced Nottingham Forest. Of course, it was a gritty 0-0 draw against the Gunners, which might not be exciting, but it showed Forest's defensive skill against one of the league's top sides. Now, these performances are no fluke. Forest is proving that they are not just here to make the numbers. They are a legitimate force in the Premier League under Nuno's guidance. Their rise is a story, to me, of resilience, smart management, tactical innovation, and it's inspiring not just for Forest fans, but for football lovers worldwide. Now, the question is, could this be the season they make the grand return to the European football? Or is this dream just something that could just be dashed away? But all I can tell you is that the City ground is buzzing right now. Now, moving forward, Crystal Palace Mateta endures a 25-stitch injury and is facing a recovery, as well as Millwall's keeper receiving a 6-match ban. Now, Crystal Palace Jean-Philippe Mateta has certainly had a week he'll never forget, though, of course, perhaps not for the happiest reasons, but during the intense FA Cup clash against Millwall, Mateta found himself at the heart of the moment, and that left fans devastated, because the striker suffered a brutal ear injury following a collision with Millwall's goalkeeper, Liam Robert. Now, you might be asking, how bad are we talking about? I'm talking about a 25 stitches patched to him. And yet, in a show of remarkable grit, Mateta was still saying he wanted to play. Of course, that was signaling his determination to keep playing and, of course, his commitment. But let's unravel that for a bit. Now, of course, the referees were not about to let that slide, and they obviously had to give him a 6-match ban, showing that the officials, stood their ground. However, there's a refreshing twist to this. Roberts actually reached out to Mateta personally to apologize, and it's not something you get to see every day in the world of high-stake football. Now, Mateta, he proved to be a true class act, accepting the apology and publicly stating that he didn't think the tackle was deliberate. Now, if only all post-match drama wrapped up in such sportsmanship, that would be great. But for now, Mateta is actually facing some time on the sidelines as he heals, but he's not letting his setback dampen his spirit. He's actually looking forward to coming back for the FA Cup quarterfinal against Fulham on March 29th, and he would likely be wearing a protective face mask and joining the gang of Osimhen and the likes. Now, when we talk about, of course, a dramatic visual, we should be expecting the crowds to be roaring and, of course, to show some form of support to their own player. Now, Mateta has also received outpouring of support from Crystal Palace fans and the alike, but there's another side to the story. The forward has stepped up to call out the online abuse directed at Liam Roberts. And in a firm yet empathetic message, he has reminded everyone that while football is a fierce game on the pitch, respect of the pitch is just very vital as much, as we would want to refer to it. It's a poignant reminder of the humanity behind the game we all love. And this tale is a blend of grit, grace, and a dash of drama, as always. Now, of course, the story showcases the resilience of players like Mateta and the importance of sportsmanship, even in the most intense competition. Of course, I'm hoping for a triumphant comeback on March 29th to see Mateta is hale and hearty. Of course, good luck to him. Now, finally, it's the international break, but we'll narrow this down to England. Thomas Tuchel is officially taking charge. Now, Tuchel is, of course, blazing on the media. Now, Tuchel just had his first training session as England's head coach, gearing up for the 2026 World Cup qualifiers against Albania. But you guessed it right. The critics are not satisfied. They are already chiming in and they already have their hot takes. And they are saying that he might be walking the same path as Gareth Southgate. Yep, the whispers are all about those familiar back four tactics, the usual squad picks, and maybe a dash of deja vu from the Southgate era. But let's break this down a little bit. Tuchel has gone with some familiar names like Jordan Henderson, Marcus Rashford, and he has also called up some exciting fresh talents, the likes of Dan Burn, who happens to have his first ever England nod, and some promoted on 21 prospect to the mix. It sounds like a blend of safe and bold, right? But still, some people are saying that, he's playing it cautiously and he's towing the same line instead of shaking things up. But let's give this guy some breathing room, in my own opinion, because Tuchel isn't just any manager. He is a Champions League winner and a tactically brilliant coach, and he has something up his sleeve. And sure, he might be using the back four and all of those things, but this is Tuchel we are talking about. It's more about what he makes with the system and how he makes the system works. And let's not forget that he already has a strong, relationship with players like Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham, which could definitely make the difference. Now, critics are saying, is he really different from Southgate? But maybe we could answer that question later. But what I know is that Tuchel would actually try and make effort to actually do something a lot more better than Southgate. And Albania would be his first big test to, reaffirm, his, expertise of what he knows how to do best on the field. Now, this is one big test for the Tuchel era to make an impact from day one. So let's know what your takes are. Are the critics onto something, or is Tuchel actually just laying the groundwork for something special? Either way, all eyes are on Albania, and England fans are ready to see what the new boss, has to bring to the table. And that, of course, brings us to the end of this episode on the Global Sport Analysis. And do not forget to keep the comments blazing. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what you think about some of this stories we have, and I sure want to hear what you have to say. My name is Adeyinka Black, as always, and until we meet again on the next episode, this is Global Sport Analysis saying cheers and keep loving the beautiful game of football.